All right. And we're back with some more interviews here on the Scotty No Show. This time we have Aaron Fabel of the YMCA here in Pier. Aaron, how are you doing?
Hey, pretty good. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Yep. So how long have you been at the YMCA?
Um, so here in Pierre, just over 5 years. Prior to being in Pierre, I was in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, as the senior program director for about 11. So professionally, getting close to 16 years. But then, as I always tell people, is my first job was actually a lifeguard at the YMCA when I was 15. So it's almost been like my entire life it's somehow been with the Y. So
What are some things that they offer there at the YMCA?
So we try and have as much variety as we can. So as we kind of say, from cradle to grave, and everything in between. So everything from newborns to doing mommy and me swim lessons to childcare, child watch, doing our after school childcare, all the youth sports swim lessons, and then for the adults as well. Whether it be our general exercise and fitness, group exercise classes, and then doing a lot of volunteer work as well, with whether it's with seniors or with some of the other like-minded organizations in our community, like the partner agencies with the United Way. So I like to tell people we're more than just a gym and swim. We're a nonprofit organization that's really trying to give back to the community, and we just happen to have workout equipment as well with it. With that, so like we say, there's something for everyone here at the Y.
It's a great place to host birthday parties, from what I've seen.
Absolutely. That's just it. I mean, there's so much. I mean, you get the younger kids in here and they can swim with Norbert, or they can run around the basketball court or racquetball and just have a lot of fun. So yeah, it's a blast, especially for the younger kids, and they can, you're having a pool party or whatever it might be. So it's great. Or the pizza pool parties that we have are pretty popular as well. You can swim and all the popping pizza you can have, and give the parents a little bit of a break. So it's good.
Few of my nephews have had a few parties there, so that's why I know about them. One of the things I had noticed when I was at the YMCA yesterday, we're recording this on Wednesday, by the way, is you guys have pickleball at
Yes.
in the mornings. I think Tuesday.
So it's
yeah,
Geez,
you
I
would
didn't
know.
realize there was going to be a test. Hold on, let me
Oh
think.
no, I'm
But
sorry.
no, so yeah, it's usually Tuesday, Thursday mornings, early morning, and then usually Monday through Friday. There's like several different groups that come in. So like early morning, and then and then earlier around the 8:30, 9 o'clock. There's another group that comes in, and then Saturday morning even, when we first open around 7 o'clock, there's another group that'll come in. So it's pretty popular.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever played?
I have. When I first heard about it, gosh, maybe 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, we bust out. We got all the equipment and tried it out, and it's a lot of fun. And I would say you held your own pretty well the other day too. I saw they weren't going easy on you.
No.
It's a lot of fun because it's really a good combination of tennis, badminton, and ping pong. Really, I mean, it's just that where anybody can play, regardless of your age or ability. It's a fast pace, but it's also not as strenuous as you would think. Like with tennis, where the court's a lot bigger. It's a lot of fun, and it's really taken off here in Pierre as of late.
Probably the thing that a lot of people know you, the YMCA for, is the swimming pool.
Uh-huh.
I would say that. But there's going to be, I think they're building it right now. There's an outdoor pool being built here in town. What's your thoughts on that?
Without getting too deep into, I think it's good. Obviously, it's time. We do need an outdoor pool. The one that we had before it was rough shape. And being a swim team kid myself, it's really going to be some great opportunities for our local swimmers to get an actual competition pool that's for outdoor. It's tough when you're on the summer swim team and you're swimming all across the state, but you're having to practice inside, and you're having to practice, maybe it's a 25-yard where you're used to maybe a 50-meter pool outside. So that is going to be huge for the community, especially a community this size. To get a pool of this magnitude is really going to be special. I think a lot of it, what I look at from the why standpoint is, what can we do to help? The biggest thing that I see is going to be having enough staff to support it, mainly with lifeguards and things like that. And we've had some good discussions with the city already of how we can kind of combine our resources, because it's going to take a lot of people to make sure that it's fully functional and running, and we can maximize the time that it's up. But overall, I mean, I think it's going to be a really beautiful addition to the Pierre area.
You also help out a lot with a bunch of 5Ks. Like I seem to see you always at like the turkey trot. Whenever I can get away from making green bean casserole,
Right.
I usually see you there. What's the fascination with doing 5Ks on like holidays, do you think?
We talked about this a while back, and with the Pierre Running Club did a lot of those for years, and they approached us not too long ago and just were looking for some help because they just to keep them going. So whether it's the turkey trot or the Oahe Days run or things like that, for us, it's a 5K is one of those where you can run it, walk it. It's fun for all ages, and especially when it's around the holidays. When people are off, whether it's a state or federal holiday, families in town, you're always kind of looking for something to do, or if you got the in-laws in town and you're looking for an excuse to get out of the house, we offer that as well. And so that was, this year when we offered the Frosty 5K on Christmas Eve, you're thinking of all days, but I'm like, we're still open in the morning. People are, most everybody was off, and like, well, let's give it a shot and try it. I think people are looking for those kind of things to do in Pierre that, whether you're a runner, walker, or just, like I said, getting out of the house and get some fresh air. It's a lot of fun. And so it's been fun to put them together, and especially showcase a lot of the great pathways that we have in Pierre, whether it's along the causeway or the trail system with the Lewis and Clark Trail. And so it's great. We enjoy doing it.
I swear somebody was dressed up like a candy cane. I swear I saw that.
We did have Frosty at our Frosty 5K.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
So we had Frosty, and then we have the turkey, and so we try and have a little bit of fun with it as well. So we're always looking for, if there's other mascots that want to come out, or if you ever want to play one of those, it's a lot of fun. We try and get into character and into the spirit of it, and just make it a good time for all ages.
You've been, I believe, an assistant on the soccer team.
Yes.
Assistant coach. I've noticed, and I should have given most improved program nods to the soccer team because they impressed me. What have they done to just improve over the years?
So this is only my second year, and I would say, for as little as I knew before, I know Coach DeBoer, when he was here, just a short time, really made some huge strides with the program, is really getting, the kids on board, and really the developmental side of it, with our youth soccer, getting those kids ready and the mindset. And so I think a lot of it goes back to just the practices that we had, starting out early with conditioning and fitness, and then just that whole mindset of, together as one type of event where, we're all working together. There's 11 on the field, but, how can we work together to get that flow, figure out the different positions, that shape that we talk about. And so, in my role, it really is working with the JV kids is to really, that next guy in, preparing them, this upcoming season, it has the potential to be one of our best seasons we've had in a long, long time, because we've got so many seniors. And so it's looking at those younger kids too and saying, it doesn't take much for, a couple of years ago, we were joking with COVID, is that you just, at any given moment, you could lose, 5-6 guys, and you're pulling guys up to get that experience. And so a lot of it is just trying to get them ready mentally, for those big moments, and just keep the conditioning high, keep the focus high when we're at practice, and have fun with it as well. And I think that, we had great senior leadership this year. I expect to have even the same next year with those kids that they've been in the program for a long time. And it's one of those sports that it's picking up momentum here in Pierre. And so you typically think of Pierre as, the football and wrestling, and now you've got volleyball doing great, and all the other sports. And so I see Pierre, the soccer is starting to get there as well. And so I think we want to keep that focus or that mentality high that, as I told the boys, soccer used to be one where they look at the schedule and say, okay, there's an easy win. I said, we've got to flip the script and say that's going to be a tough team that we play in Pier or when Pier's coming to them. And I think we've done a good job of that this past year and really to keep the other teams on their heels. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of fun to see the growth in those boys and what they've been able to accomplish.
I didn't get to catch a lot of the JV games. For those that aren't aware, usually when the boys JV is playing, the girls varsity is playing as well.
Yeah.
But there was one game that I definitely caught. I believe it was Sioux Falls Roosevelt. Maybe it was at home.
If it was the Roosevelt, yeah, that was I'm trying to think back. Yeah, Sioux Falls Roosevelt, Sioux Falls Lincoln. We had some Sioux Falls Jefferson. Great games this past year. Yeah.
But there was a moment, and I think you might know where I'm going with this. You decided to allow a player that I love, one of my favorite people, Hudson Allen. You allowed him to play, striker or forward or something, and he scores a goal, and then proceeds to tackle his own teammate.
Yes, that was talk about pure joy and exuberation. I mean, that was it right there. I mean, we were up. I mean, quite substantially. I think that was the Harrisburg game.
That's it. Yeah.
And I told the boy, I said, we want the boys to play and to compete, but we get to a point where like, okay, we, lay off the gas a little bit. Let's put some players in that don't normally play, or get them more minutes. And Hudson was on this. I remember him telling me, he's like, coach, just give me 3-4 minutes. That's all I need. That's all I want. And so like, you know what, fine. Not expecting anything to come from it. And sure enough, I think it was one of the first shots he had and just a beautiful goal. And so I think there's a picture of me with my head down thinking, oh my gosh, what just happened? And he just, running around. And then, his celebration. And of course, him being bigger than some of those other kids on there, just laying out our own team members. But it was a memory I'll never forget. It was a lot of fun.
That's a football background in him.
Yeah.
So now is the fun question portion. I know it's, that was kind of your typical, kind of questions you were probably expecting. Now, we're going to talk a little bit of professional sports and a little bit of college sports here.
Sure.
But before that, you're a rather tall individual.
Yes.
How tall are you?
So I am 6'7".
Okay. How often do you get asked to grab something from the top shelf at a grocery store?
So more often than not. And the funny thing is my wife, who is much shorter than me, often sees it before I do at the grocery store. And so she'll be like, she usually offers my services to get things down before I even notice it. So yeah, it's all the time at the store, here at the Y, when change a light bulb. I'm the guy.
I know you said you kind of wanted to shy away from this, but what's happening with your Cubs?
I don't know what it's a source of it. That was probably one of the hardest days when we got rid of, when you hear that, you got Javi Baez moving off, and Rizzo and Bryant, and you're just like, you three guys that basically are the team, that, for Rizzo and Bryant being, that's where they grew up, playing that together. And it's heartbreaking. And I guess you understand, you're trying to save money and you're trying to, rebuild, and it's tough. I mean, I know we've got some great guys coming through, but you see the play that, the spark that Baez would bring just in his defensive skills. I know he was struggling with the bat, but he had a spark and a love of the game that just is unmatched. And so I know he's on the move again. I think he just got traded again from the Mets. And then those other guys. So I don't know. Yeah. Being a lifelong Cubs fan, I think, was it 2006 we won the pennant, and I think that was the highlight. I said, okay, there's the one in my lifetime. So
2016, I believe.
Or 2016, yeah, sorry,
yeah.
2016, yeah. So it was the first year I was here, and so it's going to be a rough couple seasons, I think, before we get back to making a playoff run.
And I think they all hit like a home run in like their first game.
They
like
did.
Rizzo,
Schwarber.
Schwarber hit like 12 home runs in like April or something like that. Yeah. He went off.
And that guy's just a monster as well. Like I said, I loved watching Schwarber play, and yeah, just I mean, even in that World Series game where he came back and was just, I mean, huge, going, I mean, really with no real playing experience for weeks, and then plays out of his mind to get some crucial hits. And so I don't know what we're doing. It's just it's a sad time right now to be a Cubs fan.
Admittedly, I'm not the biggest hockey guy. I know that sounds weird for a sports guy to say that, but I'm a New York Ranger fan, unfortunately.
Okay. That's
I know it sounds weird being from South Dakota. Why are you a New York Ranger fan?
yeah.
Well, the commercial for Sports Center would always seem to have Mark Messier on it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And celebrating and acting like a child, just
Yeah.
full of joy when they won Game 7 in '94. That was like one of my first hockey memories, and that's why I'm a Ranger fan.
So, okay, so here, this will blow your mind a little bit. So that's one of my first hockey memories as well. My dad is from New York, and so he's a huge Rangers, Yankees, Mets, you name it. And I remember, it's one of those memories. I mean, I remember being in California at my grandmother's house, and it was Game 7, and I think I was sleeping in the living room, and he comes in and turns the TV on. I remember watching that moment with him, and that was when I first had my love of hockey, and was a Rangers fan for a while. Then I thought, you know what, I'll branch out and find my own team type of a thing. But yeah, that was my first professional game, was seeing the Rangers play, and Messier and Mike Richter and Brian Leach. And I mean, all those guys, I mean, just what a great team. And yeah, so I have a soft spot for that. Even Gretzky, when he played for the Rangers for a while, and I mean, it was a lot of fun, but
that's the only hockey jersey I own is Gretzky's.
That's all right.
Yeah. But I have 4 players named here, and I kind of want you to just give me your thoughts on them.
Okay.
One is a current player. I think you'll know who it is. And 3 are old Maple Leafs players.
Okay.
They're all Maple Leafs players.
Okay. Perfect.
Because you told me you're a Maple Leafs guy.
I'm a huge Leafs fan, so we'll see how test my knowledge, I guess.
You and Mike, what's his name? Mike Myers, I think, are both huge Maple Leafs guys.
Yes.
But Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him?
He's a phenomenal kid. I think he's great. And I say kid, I mean, he's still young. I mean, you look at him and what he's been able to do in the league. Just he's phenomenal. I mean, really. I mean, he leads in goals this year. I mean, he's the guy that you want out there for those big moments. And so, yeah, we got to keep him around. At the end of the day, he's the guy.
When I think of Maple Leafs, these next 3 players are the 3 that come to mind immediately. First one, Curtis Joseph.
Yeah. Cujo was he was the kind of the guy you could rely on. Yeah, we really haven't had it. Well, we've got Soupy now, but Cujo was kind of like that old reliable that he was great. Yeah.
Yeah. It seemed like there was a golden age of goaltenders in like the 90s and 2000s.
Yep.
It seemed like there's Cujo, Patrick Waugh,
Eddie Belfour, that era of just, you're right. Yeah. It was just like, it was almost like every team kind of had the goalie, and it was like, you knew him. And so it was definitely an interesting time with those names. Yeah.
Even though he hated playing in the city of Chicago, Roberto Luongo.
Right. Yes. Yep.
Matt Sundin.
And that was so my first number playing when I played hockey, that was my number was 13 for a while, and it was because of him. It was Matt Sundin. So Matt Sundin and Teemu Selanne were my 2 guys, and Sundin was one of those that another big unit, kind of like almost like an Eric Lindros, a little bit shorter, I believe, but he was just great with his hands. I mean, I just never forget some of the breakaway shots he would have with those wrist shot, and Sundin was great.
I was watching a podcast, because a lot of times podcasts are on video, like this one is. And I heard like Lindros's measurables, and I'm like, he was that big?
Yeah,
I forgot he was that big.
he was a unit. I think he was 6'6", 6'7" as well. I mean, he was just a
Yeah.
monster out there. Yeah. And so, yeah.
And finally, Ty Domi.
I was hoping you'd say Ty's name. Yeah. I mean, you need an enforcer. Ty's I mean, yeah. I mean, he'd mess with not only the guys on the ice, but also in the fans as well if he had to. So, yeah, he was well, that whole era. I mean, Ty Domi, Bob Probers, just you talk about enforcers, the guys that, I mean, yeah, a penalty kill or just needed to get in somebody's face. Those were the guys.
He's not a Maple Leaf guy, but first of all, you've probably seen the movie Dumb and Dumber, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it wild that Cam Neely's in that?
That's right. Yeah. Cam Neely that was back when he played with Boston, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was Seabass.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's a good catch there. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yep. So big Iowa fan, basically. I'll say.
Born and raised in Iowa. So I grew up southeast Iowa, about an hour and a half from Iowa City. Went to college at Iowa Wesleyan, just like 45 minutes away from Iowa City. So huge Hawkeye fan. Yeah, always have been. Yeah.
Not a sports question, but have you been to the Iowa State Fair?
I have been to the Iowa State Fair. Yeah. So when I was a kid, went there several times. Got to see the butter cow at least one. And then everything deep fried you can imagine. So absolutely. Yeah. It's almost a rite of passage when you grow up in Iowa. You got to go to the fair at least once. So just for that experience.
Yeah. It's not that I don't like the South Dakota State Fair. I just wanted to experience another state's fair. I went to the Iowa State Fair, let's say 2014 or 15, saw like 2 concerts, and it was incredible. Like they get incredible bands there.
And I don't, being from Iowa, I don't get it, but it's insane. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's in a league of its own, really. I mean, I guess we do have Field of Dreams there, so that's something maybe that helps. But yeah, it's definitely if you've never been, it's definitely one to see at least once.
Have you been to the Field of Dreams?
I have not actually. That is one of the things I would love to see. I've driven past it, been in the area, but never have actually stopped to check it out.
I know it's Dyersville. That's somewhere. Is that near like Davenport?
That's another. Gosh. This is really bad. I'm not too good with my geography. You've got towns in Iowa that have more cows than people, and so on. We've got more counties than I think they even know what to do with. So I don't. That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, when I went to, because the Iowa State Fair's in Des Moines, and I know we were going to talk about Iowa sports. We'll get to the Hawkeyes. Don't worry, we'll get to the Hawkeyes. But I remember watching, I think it was Man versus Food. And there's this place in Des Moines called Jethro's, I think it's called. And I believe is Drake in Des Moines?
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I think they had something called the Adam Emenecker Challenge. And it was like this. And Adam Emenecker was he was a basketball player. I think they're at Drake. And it's like a 10 or 12 pound burger. It has like a pork loin on it.
Yeah. Can't imagine. I've had some of those athletes. I mean, we talk about like they name the burgers after him. I had a friend in college that he played basketball. He's like, yeah, we'd go to like Chili's or Applebee's, and that's back when they had like the 2 for $20. He's like, I'd order off the 2 for $20 for me. And then my girlfriend would get something else. I'm like, that's insane. But the amount of calories they go through is just, it's nuts. Yeah.
So Iowa wrestling, that is something I know a little bit about. You've been to a few things there at Carver Hawkeye. How was that?
That is an incredible venue. I mean, just the way that stadium is set up, that bowl basically going down. I mean, I remember as a kid going in, yeah, we'd watch wrestling, basketball. I mean, it was quite the atmosphere, and I had the opportunity to swim at that pool there as well. But just being in Carver is, yeah, for one of those games, especially wrestling, it's unbelievable. Just the noise level and just the excitement around. Obviously Iowa wrestling is it's top notch with several other programs, but it's really something special there.
Last year at nationals, they had a guy, Spencer Lee,
Yep.
who won in his weight class with like no ACLs in his knees.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's just now getting surgery. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just now getting surgery. So I think it was like 20. It was a bit ago when I was still in college. It might have been 2015. Iowa wrestled against South Dakota State, and I got to interview Tom Brands. Oh my
That's
God.
Cool.
Yeah. Interesting guy. I'll just say that much.
I tell you, you get him fired up and look out.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah. He put the fear of God into one guy in the press conference. I was like, oh my God. So football. Who are some of your favorite Hawkeye football players?
Oh man. If we go back, obviously Dallas Clark, I'll tell you, one of my favorite players of all time, this is going to be a shock to some people, AJ Epinesa, he plays for the Bills now.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved watching him when he was a freshman. I mean, just his speed off the ball. You don't typically think of your favorite players being a defensive guy like that, but he was so much fun to watch. But I mean, they've had some great, TJ Hawkinson, another one. But yeah, I would say Epinesa is one of my favorites. But then you go back several years to look at some quarterbacks with like Drew Tate and those guys. Yep. I mean, just a lot of fun to watch. So
I just DVR'd the I want to say it was the Gator Bowl of 2005. And I think that was the Drew Tate touchdown against LSU.
Yep. I was in Ohio watching that game, and I remember just sitting back then because that's where we were playing I was like on the LSU quarterback that was like number 1 or number 2 in the draft that year. And that fourth quarter was back and forth and thinking, good game, there's no way. And then just reliving
that. Wasn't Jamarcus Russell, was it?
Maybe it was. Yeah, there you go. And he was a big unit. They were just going back and forth and hit that pass to is it Warren Solomon? And then just I remember jumping off the couch like, I mean, it was just unbelievable because
you name dropped Dallas Clark. Little known fact, he's from South Dakota.
Yeah, I did know that actually. Yeah.
But you didn't drop every South Dakotan's favorite Iowa Hawkeye though.
I was gonna say one, but he's from Minnesota. So who you got?
Chad Greenway.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say Chad Greenway. But I thought he was from Minnesota.
No. He's from Mount Vernon. Of all places.
Okay. So we had talked about trying to get him to come here to Pierce sometime and do a talk or something, or do something for the kids. But maybe he's living in Minnesota now, but
he is.
So
he is.
Maybe that's right.
He's got this company. It's like Grey Duck Spirits. It's like he's selling seltzers now, and I'm like, that's what?
You're right. We got to. I forgot. Okay, so perfect. Well, I guess I learned something new today. For some reason, I thought he was from Minnesota, but I guess he just there now because he played with the Vikings. So
there was also a running back from Dakota Dunes, but I don't know if you remember him, Brandon Wagger.
Oh, Brandon, yes. You talked that. So that would have been several years ago. I remember seeing him. I mean, and I don't know if he ended his career at Iowa or not. He may have left early, but I tell you what, one of the hardest running backs. There was a couple of guys on that year. Great running back. I do remember him. Yeah.
And then offensively, I believe Riley Reif went there. Did he not?
Riley Reif. There's a lot of. I mean, I think that's one of the things with Iowa is that you're never really in that national championship caliber. We're always, a few notches back. We were pretty high this year in the rankings. But then if you look at the the NFL output that some of the guys that are getting drafted as high as they are, it's unreal the number of guys that are playing in the NFL that play for Iowa. That it kind of a testament to the Ferentz and the rest of the coaching staff to get those kids developed. Unfortunately, we can't get them developed all the way to make a bigger push in the college game of things, but a lot of guys have had a great NFL career, get drafted pretty high. Like Wirfs playing for Tampa Bay, and a lot of great offensive, defensive linemen that are just animals coming out of college that had some really good careers playing professionally.
My nickname for Iowa is tight end U, because I believe they also had George Kittle at one point.
George Kittle and Noah Fant.
That's the other one.
And then you got Laporta this year. I mean, you could just go back and it's just unreal, the tight ends that, I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it goes back to, you get some of those kids that are recruited as, like a 3-star, and they just work on the farm, they get strong. And then it's a tight end kind of heavy offense that we like those big boys there.
And I feel like it's only been has to be the past decade or so, the waving to the children's thing. I believe that's in Iowa, right?
It is. Maybe was it 4 or 5? Maybe it's even been longer. It feels like forever. Probably one of the best college traditions out there. I remember, one of the pages I follow is Hawkeye Heaven. I remember when that discussion started happening about doing something for the children's hospital there overlooking the stadium. And it just every time gives you goosebumps, just thinking that there's more than just a game, reaching out to those kids and just making their day. It's just, it's unbelievable. So I absolutely love that tradition. And the fact that they're carrying it on, when Iowa plays away, sometimes that they'll still wave to the camera to the kids, or different bars and places across Iowa. I mean, it's just ingrained in those people's minds that it's for the kids. I love it.
Who is going to leave Iowa first, Fran McCaffrey or Jordan Bohannon?
Oh, geez. I think Bohannon's got a couple more years left of eligibility. So I tell you what, he has been there forever. I think this is his last year, but I think he's all out of degrees.
Senior. He's a 6-year senior.
Probably working on his 3rd PhD at the moment. And so I tell you what, watching Bohannon for all those years. But if you want somebody on the free throw line in a clutch situation, he's your guy. Nobody else with ice water in their veins when it comes to shooting free throw. But I can't believe how many years it seems like he's been there. He has been there forever. I mean, quite literally.
Yeah. It's like like Perry Ellis at Kansas.
Right.
Perry Ellis was at Kansas for what seemed like 15 years.
Yeah. You get some of the guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back as like a assistant coach or something like that.
Yeah. As an Iowa Hawkeye fan, you had to enjoy having a Player of the Year candidate like Luka Garza.
Yeah, that was he had a really special year. And then if you look at Megan Gufferson was the same year as him, which she was tearing it up on the women's side, and then you've got Caitlin Clark this year.
Yeah,
it's just unreal what these kids are doing. But Luka Garza is just, seeing him mature over the years and just how big he got. And then Joe Wieskamp, who actually grew up about 30-45 minutes from where I grew up, in Muscatine, Iowa. And so seeing them work together and really it's I think a lot goes back to McCaffrey, of who he's been able to recruit and really get people on board. I think we were talking earlier with his sons. I think he's got one more still left in high school that they're saying is better than the other 2 that are playing now. But Luka Garza is just, to see him, just a big guy underneath and getting some good minutes at Detroit, and definitely a lot of fun and helping to get, I guess, Iowa's name on the map for basketball for that last year was great.
Yeah, I believe it's Patrick is one of them, Patrick McCaffrey, and was it Chris?
Oh my gosh! So of course now I'm going to just drop blank when we're talking about Patrick is the middle child.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. My point here is I feel like, with Patrick McCaffrey and then the Boeheim brothers in Syracuse.
Oh, sure.
I don't know why, but it feels like the sons have somehow passed up the fathers in height and probably basketball talent.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and it and it makes me wonder, where does all of that talent come from?
Right. And then I wonder kind of what their, what their home life is like. And I'm sure just as young kids being ingrained with that, just seeing their dad go to work, whether it's, even before he was coaching in Iowa, I think he was at Siena before, and just having that firsthand look. And a lot of those kids, I mean, even the pro athletes, where they bring their kids on the field for football or whatever sport it might be, and just really grasping and seeing more of it now than maybe they were allowed to, 10, 20, 30 years ago. But yeah, I don't know how these kids keep getting taller, and I keep feeling like, 10 foot is maybe too short now for a lot of these guys.
One of my favorite video clips I saw during the tournament last year was this clip of Carmelo Anthony when he was at Syracuse, and he's playing around with Buddy Boeheim.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And you see these kids that grow up and they're like idolizing, LeBron or whoever it might be. And then they're like, here they are, so many years later, taking a photo with them playing in the NBA together, or the father-son duos like King Griffey Jr., things like that, where they're, getting to play with their dad. I mean, it's crazy.
There is one player that I feel like he's one of the first Iowa players that I remember. There was another one. I forget who it was, but I believe his name is Devin Marble.
Oh, yeah.
It's Roy's kid.
You're right. You got Devin Marble and you got Roy Marble. Yeah. He was a lot of fun to watch as well. Yeah. Trying to think of who else. I think that might have even been around the Aaron White era as well.
That sounds familiar.
And so, I mean, you look at some of the names that Iowa's produced as well for, a lot of those guys, playing overseas. But Devin Marble's another one of those guys, just taking after his dad and just kind of lights out. Played great.
Roy Marble, I believe, is considered maybe the best Iowa Hawkeye basketball player maybe ever. Somehow doesn't have his number retired. Luka Garza got that first.
Luka got it first. I know there was some outcry. I want to say that they just reached out and did something not too long ago, and got his retired as well, which was long overdue. But definitely, hopefully if I remember, hopefully they got that taken care of.
Yeah. Do you have any pro teams?
For when it comes to basketball, not really. I'm more of a college guy than I am professional. And a lot of that just goes back to just watching the kids play for the love of the game and not about the money. I know things have changed now just recently with being able to play for players like this. I think that's good. I mean, because they're making a ton of money off of these kids, but I always like just the hustle, the drive of those kids just playing because they love the sport and trying to get to that next level. And I feel sometimes you get to that next level and you kind of coast for a little bit just because you're there and you made it. And so I'm more of a college guy than I am professional.
How many more lessons do you think Coach K is going to teach players from the other teams after he wins the game?
Oh, jeez. Right. Yeah, that's a good question. It's going to be tough because, after this year too, and seeing some of the coaches, some of those guys you grow up watching, these coaches that have been there, you just, right, like whether it's Boeheim or Coach K or some of those guys, you're like, I don't imagine basketball without them. And so it's going to be definitely different, but I'm sure, the voices will still be heard
The thing that scares me about John Shire coaching Duke as a Duke fan, mainly is kind of how young he is, because in my sophomore year of high school, I did a report on him, like a PowerPoint report on him. And it's like, and now he's like the coach in waiting at Duke. And it's like, goodness, I feel old.
Right. Right. Yeah. Some of those players that are out and you're like, wait a minute. Yeah. So
you look at their bench and they've got Nolan Smith on the bench as an assistant. They've got Emil Jefferson, who I believe just graduated like 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. No, it's the same. Yeah, right. It's just nuts. No, those kids that, makes you feel old, I guess.
This might be a better question: who's going to lead the Big Ten first, Jordan Bohannon or Brad Davison?
Ooh, man, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Probably go back to Bohannon again, but I don't know. Yeah,
I feel like they've been there the same amount of time.
yeah, I agree. Man, you got me on that. I don't know what to. I don't know how to answer that one.
Yeah. Even though he's from South Dakota, and I know that he's redshirting this year. Is there a part of you that's kind of excited to see how Matthew Morse does at Wisconsin?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, any of those guys, yeah, when you start seeing, especially when you've got like local guys, there's always that feel good. You want them to succeed. The names, who was we had the running back, that was at Chadron State several years back and got drafted.
Oh, Danny Woodhead.
Danny Woodhead. Yeah. It's stories like that where doesn't matter what team they're playing for, you're just rooting for them because it's that hometown feel. Even though it's across the state or whoever they're playing, it's the same feeling like this. Yeah, I don't care. It's at Wisconsin, who we play against, you just want the best for that guy because he's from basically your hometown area. So absolutely.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I don't know if this is the actual nickname for it, but the Iowa-Nebraska rivalry, I feel like I've heard it. Is it called the High V rivalry?
It's the High V Heroes game.
That's it.
And so they always, I think they select one veteran or hometown hero on each side to kind of be recognized with that. So, yeah. So, which has gone in Iowa's way the past several years.
Oh, of course. Good.
Yeah.
Of course. I was just like with this NIL thing being freed up. Part of me would think it'd be kind of funny if like the winning team gets like free groceries.
It could be like the grocery games where you have like a minute to get whatever you want in the store.
Yes.
So that would be, that would make sense because they're doing that now with all the bowl games, like the different, dumping whatever on their heads. Yeah. Give them a minute in High V, grab whatever you want. Yeah. I think that'd be fun.
By the way, dumping mayo on a coach, that was the South Carolina, North Carolina game. Dumping mayo on the coach. That's going to take so much to get out of the field turf.
I was just going to say, do you really want to be the winning coach at that point? You'd be like, you know what, guys, it's okay to throw this game. It's always, there's no shame in losing.
Here's a good question. Would you rather have mayo dumped on you or French fries? Like at the potato bowl.
Fries. Oh, we could do French fries all day. That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
French fries, the Cheez-Its would be kind of fun too.
Oh, yeah, the Cheez-Its. Yes.
I do like how they're getting more creative with things like that, though. That makes it fun.
Yeah. And of course, as John Madden taught us in the Super Bowl in 1986, you have multiple buckets. You have the mother bucket, you have the father bucket, and then they get together and they have the baby bucket.
Yeah,
that was my favorite John Madden thing that I discovered.
Remember that? Yeah, especially when you get the pin out and you start drawing and circling, and that's classic.
Do you have a favorite non-Iowa Big Ten athlete?
Ooh, favorite non-Iowa Big Ten athlete, current or former?
Former. We'll say.
Oh man.
So I think I know what mine would be, and that's only because I've met him.
I could probably give you an answer now, and then like an hour later, I'll say, no, that's not right. It should be this or that. I'm trying to like rack because you start going through all the great names that. Oh, man.
Okay. I'll tell you mine.
Okay.
So I actually kind of have two. One went to Purdue. He played basketball there. I met him weirdly at a urinal at the Mall of America, which is the weirdest place to ever meet somebody.
Right.
And it's Robbie Hummel.
Robbie Hummel, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other is an Ohio State bench warmer known as Mark Titus.
Okay. I remember the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. I mean, I remember like Ezekiel Elliott when he played for Ohio State and stuff like that. Like, I'm like, I don't know if he's my favorite, but it'd be kind of neat to, bump into him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
getting to see Greg Oden in person.
Sure.
Just, oh my gosh, so tall still.
Oh yeah. I remember bumping into Howie Long once in St. Louis. I mean, the guy is huge. I mean, you see him on TV and you're like, okay, normal. And these guys are just massive. They're just in a whole other, you can tell why they played professional. I mean, there's a whole other league. So
this will be my last question. Because I after my booster shot that I just got, I didn't have time to get lunch because there's no Subway at the Walmart anymore.
I know.
So,
yeah, that's kind of a bummer, but yeah, food's sounding pretty good right now too. So that sounds good.
Yes, but wow, I just forgot what I was going to ask. Oh, here's one. I know it's a rivalry. If you had to have one former Iowa State Cyclone play for Iowa, who would it be?
Oh, Marcus Pfizer.
Really?
I think that'd be a fun one. Yeah. So my wife went to Iowa State. And so the other one would be Seneca Wallace. Because
Jamal Tinsley?
Jamal Tinsley, yeah, that would be all right. Yeah, Tinsley, I remember, yeah. So
George Niang?
Niang was a good player too. So when we lived in Ames for several years and got to see quite a few basketball games, and those guys, I mean, yeah, that was a lot of fun seeing those guys. But I tell you what, it was my wife's freshman year at Iowa State when Seneca Wallace was playing there. That was the game where they were playing Florida State and just like missed it by a couple of yards at the end. But yeah, Seneca Wallace. Now I take it back. Seneca Wallace would be a good one if we could bring him to Iowa. We could use the quarterback help. That would be great. Have a dual threat.
Yeah, I noticed the other night I was watching an Iowa State basketball game, and I completely forgot A, who their basketball coach is, and B, who one of their point guards is. They stole a couple players from South Dakota State.
Yeah.
So
they're having considering the year they had last year and how they've been able to turn around this year, it's been incredible. So yeah, when I'm not cheering on Iowa State's a close second just because of having lived there for several years and seeing some of those players. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on. I hope you enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Yeah. Like I said, I'm sure I'll remember. I'll think of some better answers once we get off. I'm like, I should have told you this guy or that guy. But this was a lot of fun. So I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
You bet. Thanks, Scotty.